Good morning, my grade 2s. In today's maths class, we're going to be learning today about symmetry. And not only are we going to be learning about symmetry, but we're also going to be learning about how we can use symmetry in the world around us and in nature. So we're learning some pretty cool stuff this week. Now, before we get started, can anyone tell me anything about symmetry? No? That's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to learn these things. So class, symmetry is a symmetrical object or shape that when folded or a line is drawn down the middle, the shape becomes identical on each side. See, as you can see. Let's use my face as an example. If we were to draw a line from here all the way down the middle, this side is exactly the same as this side. These are examples of symmetry. Now class, what I love more than anything when it comes to learning about symmetry is that you'll find symmetry exists around us. It exists in the world that we live in, and it exists in nature. If we look around, you could find plenty of examples to use when it comes to looking for symmetry. In the foods that we eat, the animals that we see, the buildings that we walk into. These are just a handful of examples when it comes to learning about symmetry. Symmetry is a magical and fascinating reflection in terms of biology, geometry, architecture, and even art. Now, as you can see behind me, I've got a few examples here of nature being used with symmetry. I'm going to start off first with this wonderful flower. Look how great that is. So if we were to take a line and go from there all the way down to there, with this half look exactly the same as this half. And yes, you would be right. You can clearly see that if you went down the middle like that this half is the same as this half. But what if I was to rotate it? So let's rotate it like that. As you can see, this line goes down to there. That's symmetrical. You could even go across like that. You could even go across like that. Now this flower is a great example of something that you would call rotational symmetry. You can clearly see the symmetry lines, even when you rotate it. That's a great example. Our next picture that we're going to look at is a picture of this beautiful elephant. Now let's have a look at him. If we were to fold this picture, or to go from there all the way down the middle to the bottom of his trunk, you can clearly see that the left side would be identically symmetrical to the right side. This is another amazing example of symmetry being used in nature. Now this next example, I just absolutely love using. Even before we look, I just want you to see, look at the symmetrical patterns here. Look at the color patterns that are all naturally there on this bird. Now if we put our symmetrical line right down the middle here, just like that, you can clearly see, what do we think, class? Do we think that it's unsymmetrical or do we think that it's symmetrical? Well done, exactly. You can clearly see that this is an example of, once again, symmetry being used in nature. It's all around us. It's wonderful. So we're now going to move on to a few various shapes that we've looked at over the last few weeks. Now let's look at this shape first. Look at this. Now we've got our imaginary line on our rectangle, and we're going to go all the way down. Now let's fold this. Is this side the same as this side? Yes. Well done. Exactly. It is. You can see that that's a symmetrical shape. What about this triangle here? Can you see? Let's fold it now. Perfect. Well done. Is this the same? Yes, this is perfectly symmetrical. Now this next shape is a little bit more interesting. What do we think about this one, guys? So if I was to take this shape and fold it just like that, do we think that this is symmetrical or unsymmetrical? That's that side, and then we've got this side. Symmetrical or unsymmetrical? Exactly. It's unsymmetrical because, as you can see, this side is not identical to this side. Well done. Okay guys, I'm really loving the participation so far. So as we have seen, after looking at all these different shapes and pictures of symmetry in nature, we can clearly see that symmetry is something that we like to call a maths phenomenon. Nature has created these perfectly symmetrical shapes, such as our bird, our flower, our elephant. These are all natural forms. They are not man-made. Nature has created them, and we can find the symmetry in these pictures or different other elements of nature, and that's amazing. So when you're out on the playground today, I want you to look around at different parts of nature and try and see if you can find the symmetrical form in those objects. Okay guys, so like I've said before, I'm really loving your focus today with me is amazing. I can see your eyes on me, I can see you listening, and I just love it. So there'll definitely be big points going out to the class today. So our activity for the day is symmetry in nature. What I want you guys to do, the first part is individual. I want you to draw a line down the middle of where you think it is symmetrical, and I want you to say if you think it's symmetrical or unsymmetrical. The second part of our task will be with your partner who you sit next to. Instead of now drawing the line is already there. I then want you to pick an object, whether it be a flower, a butterfly, an apple. You can pick whatever you like. And I then want you and your partner, either on the left or right side, to draw the object. Now remember, whatever you draw on the right side, it must be drawn on the left. And when we're talking about symmetry, your object must be balanced. It's very, very important. Thank you, grade 2. Now let's go back to our seats.